From being an all-female version of The Lord of the Flies, to the fact that even the cast doesn't know where the story is headed, these are the Yellowjackets facts fans didn't know about. So, you know how the show has been compared to The Lord of the Flies and other survivalist stories, right? Here's an interesting twist. The show was inspired by a previous project that wanted to do an all-female reboot of Lord of the Flies. A few years ago, one of the co-creators of Yellowjackets, Ashley Lyle, came across an article about this all-female reboot. And guess what? The responses to it were pretty bad. People were like, what are a bunch of girls gonna do anyway? Clearly, they have no idea how brutal teenage girls can be. And Lyle took offense to those assumptions. She was like, wait a minute, you were never a teenage girl, sir. And she started thinking about her own high school years and the things that she witnessed among her peers. One particular incident stuck with her. This girl poisoning another girl's food just for the heck of it. It was messed up. But it made her realize that girls are no strangers to darkness and violence. And that's how the twisted world of Yellowjackets came to be. It goes beyond survival and dives into the characters' psychological trauma and complex relationships. It challenges the notion that girls are somehow immune to brutality and explores the darker sides of their nature. The show is really well written and executed, and the creators know exactly how they want it to end. Ashley Lyle and Bart Nickerson had a clear vision for Yellowjackets right from the start, as they pitched the series to several studios before ultimately choosing Showtime as the best fit for their direction. They went into great detail in their pitch, giving a thorough outline of their plans for the entire series, including the finale. In fact, they described the Season 1 finale in such detail that it was filmed exactly as they imagined it during those pitch meetings. It was conceived as a 5-season idea, and Lyle and Nickerson knew exactly how they wanted the story to conclude. It makes sense to have an end in sight already, when the story is so full of twists, turns, and cliffhangers. Now it's in the hands of Showtime to support their vision, and leave them to bring their planned storyline to life. That said, there were some changes that Showtime was able to convince the creators to make. Originally, the show was meant to be set in the 70s and 90s, as opposed to the 90s and 2020. They wanted to capture that dazed and confused vibe, you know? The network had a different plan when they teamed up with Showtime to produce the series, as they convinced Lyle and Nickerson to change the period to the 1990s and the present. And you know what? Lyle now admits that Showtime's version was way smarter. Gotta give credit where credit's due, right? The more contemporary setting actually makes a lot of sense. They grew up in the 1990s, so they can draw on their own experiences and relate to the characters in the present day. It adds that extra layer of authenticity, you know? But there was another factor that played into the decision, and that is how having two different historical periods would be a logistical nightmare. Showtime's executives were the ones to bring it up. And honestly, they have a point. Managing production in two different eras would be quite a challenge. And expensive, too. Looking back, Lyle and Nickerson totally agree that Showtime made the right call. The 1996 and 2021 dual setting has become a signature aspect of Yellowjackets. It sets the stage for exploring the characters' past and present, as well as the consequences they face. It's also much more relatable for the audience. And frankly, the fans just love it. They keep coming up with all kinds of theories about why things are the way they are on the show. One crazy fan theory is that Crystal isn't even real. Wait, what? Oh, the Crystal storyline in Season 2 definitely got viewers talking. It's interesting how some fans think that Crystal might have been a figment of Misty's imagination. The sudden friendship between Crystal and Misty did raise some eyebrows, and it felt a bit out of place compared to the overall well-written nature of the show. Their connection didn't feel entirely organic, and it's a bit puzzling for these characters to form such a deep bond after months of not even speaking to each other. It's these kinds of inconsistencies that made some viewers question what was really going on. And that episode where Crystal dies, it does seem odd that none of the other characters really care, or even acknowledge her disappearance. Also, isn't it strange that Misty pushes her only friend off a cliff, and her body is never found? So the idea that Crystal might be a manifestation of Misty is definitely a possibility, just like the theory that Lisa is actually Shauna's baby. There's a couple of similarities between the two of them. Lisa chops off the chickens' heads easily, very much like Shauna's butchering skills. Lisa also talks about how she lets people walk all over her, which is exactly like Shauna's relationship with Jackie. Considering the timeline, it would make sense for Lisa to be around 25 years old, and that makes complete sense if she was the one Shauna gave up for adoption. Now, given Lottie and Shauna's attachment, it figures that Lottie would track down and adopt the baby, right? Man, some of these fan theories could be shows of their own. It's just so fascinating. But here's the one for today. The forest is hunting the characters. The darkness is a tree spirit. The idea adds a whole new layer of mystery and suspense to the show. All the references to trees and nature throughout the series, including the characters leaning against tree trunks and posters, all creates a strong visual motif. I mean, think about it. Even the clothes they wear, especially the antlers, makes them look like trees. Could this mean a connection with the spirit of the forest? There are plenty of visual clues to support the theory. Remember the tree outside Sammy's window, and those shots of trees that resemble eyes? Does that mean that the forest is watching? I think so. There are also plenty of references to Greek mythology, which could mean that there's some kind of ancient god or deity who's watching the whole thing, and even controlling it. The show is rich in imagery and symbolism, so I think we'll see more of the forest as a character in the coming seasons. It makes everything so much spookier, and that much more deadly, because how the hell do you fight a forest? Whether true or not, the creators are committed to keeping things mysterious. Even the episode-by-episode release is part of that mystery, because they don't want you to binge-watch the show. It just amps up the excitement and keeps us on the edge of our seats, trying to unravel all those juicy mysteries. It's a big part of why the show is so damn appealing. They wanted each episode to have its own mini-story and contribute to the bigger picture and slowly solve the show's larger mysteries. So it's like a double whammy of satisfaction and curiosity with every episode. To make sure everything ties together nicely, they broke down each episode into a nifty 4-act structure. All those seemingly unrelated threads weave together like magic, revealing a bigger picture. And you know what? The structure would have been totally lost if we had the chance to binge-watch the entire season at once. The team is so committed to its air of mystery that even the cast doesn't know what's going to happen next. Samantha Hanratty, who plays Misty as a teenager, had no clue about the identity of the girl who falls into a trap. And get this, she says she didn't even know who it was while filming. Tawny Cypress, who plays the adult Tiasa, said that she was totally in the dark about her character's fate when she started filming. It wasn't until she sat in the hair and makeup chair that she got the scoop on some key plot points. Melanie Linsky grilled the creators until they spilled the beans about their plan for the end of Season 5. The rest of the cast were deliberately kept in the dark. It must have been like opening a surprise gift every time they received a new script. But it probably added some more authenticity to their performances. So, from the fact that even the cast doesn't know where the story is headed, to being an all-female version of Lord of the Flies, these were the Yellowjackets facts fans didn't know about.